Okay, so welcome to QBOA Practice Management. We'll just move to the next. So we're trying something slightly different here. Leanne, can you move screens? Sorry, Leanne and I are both kind of working off the same system here because otherwise we end up with a big echo. So it's not working. Oh, and your picture isn't there.
Okay. I checked my picture's on the next one.
Okay, good. So a little bit about myself. I mean, I'm sure that I know I've had several chats with both of you guys, but for those that are going to be watching the recording, so my name is Tanya Hiltz. I'm the founder of Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I've been in business since 1997. I've been working with QBO since 2012. I really embraced the cloud technology in 2014, implemented value pricing in 2015. It looks like all that stuff is most of the stuff that I would normally do on the value pricing, but tripled my sales in the past 12 months. Newest Black Swan sponsored by Intuit, as well as I am a volunteer mentor through Futurepreneurs Canada. Okay,
And I am Leanne. I'm the operations leader here at Cloud Bookkeeping Services. I have been an entrepreneur since 2010, where I owned and operated my own 2 franchises. I've been working with QBO since 2012, which is when Tanya taught me how to do my own bookkeeping in my small businesses. I was actually her first QBO client. And then my background is actually in social media and marketing. So those are my specialties. So we're gonna dive right in. Interesting. My words aren't there. There they are. Technical difficulty. So let's dive right in here. I'm gonna pull this down and find our QuickBooks. So Tanya and I have been working with the QuickBooks Online accountant, now trying to figure out how we can replace one of our systems with it so that we can lower the different apps that we're using. So we've been playing with the different areas, and we'll just do a quick overview here so that you can see all the different parts of it. So you can see this is our own, and we're really just starting. So there's not a whole lot in here. It's our own processes, and then we've been working with our one client. You can actually type in here, and it will search clients for you. Otherwise, there's a whole long list of all your clients. It takes a little while to work your way through it. You can sort by who has the task assigned to them. And you can sort by what kind of task it is, projects, tasks, or requests. And right now, Tanya and I are preferring the projects, but I'll get into why in a minute.
do the From QuickBooks button.
So this button here, which we have turned off, is the From QuickBooks tasks. So it's going to show you, and there's not a whole lot in here, but it's going to show you if there's any tasks coming up that they think you need to address. So in this case, it's telling us that CBS Training has 440 unaccepted transactions. This is our training account, so that's okay. that's not work that we should be doing. So it might also tell you when the next payroll is due to be run, and that kind of reminder. But our personal opinion on this right now is that it really, depending on how you already have your workflow established, it adds some extra clutter. So for example, if there's a client that you don't perform the payroll on, that they perform their own payroll, that might clutter up your to-do list. If there's a client that you have, unaccepted transactions on, but they're responsible for doing that themselves, again, it might clutter up your to-do list. So
no, not might, it will.
Sorry, it will. It will make it look like you have a lot more to do than you do. One of our feedback for QuickBooks as we've been going through this is going to be can we turn it off of certain clients? So not just off in total, but for right now, we're keeping it off overall. The 2 views for this, you can see the view we have it in right now. You have whatever's due that day, and then the week, and then the next week, and the next 30 days. That's I find that's the simplest view because it's very straightforward to see. The list view needs to be resorted to due date so that you make sure that the most recent thing is at the top. And depending on how many projects you have, you might prefer this. Just make sure you sort via the due date. This is nice if you, for example, have something that's overdue because it turns red. So you can see right there, it stands out a little bit more.
It turns orange up there too.
There it is.
Yeah, that's why I love that one.
So that is the basic screens. So let's dig in a little bit deeper if we're adding certain things.
I noticed you didn't change your titles the way I did. Sundays, weekly, bi-weekly.
Right, yes. We'll get into that when I start creating some new ones there.
Right.
So up here, you've got two options. You've got create client request, and that's where this requests come in as well. And you can see I actually created one the other day just to sort of give myself an example. This is the equivalent to what used to be worksheets, correct, Tanya?
No, not worksheets. Worksheets is the new year in with accountants.
Oh, sorry.
This was just documents.
It was just documents or something where you could request items directly from your clients. So in this case, if I need a receipt for, let's say, insurance. Oops. If I typed properly, that would be good. I can select my client, CVS training. I can ask them to please have it due to me by Friday. And I can let them know that I need the insurance documents to match to bank. So
add a document.
No, I want them to send me a document. This is a client request. You can add documents to it. You want to notify the client, and we're going to hit there, and it's going to allow you to type in their email, which I'm going to just use our support email so I can show you what it looks like on the other end.
Now, why did it come up with that? Is it because maybe we don't have that set up in CVS training?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have not. This is our fake training QuickBooks file, so we don't have an email entered in there, which is why I needed to type it in. And then you can see this is what it's going to look like. Publish and send email. And then if I quickly pull up our inbox here, you can see it's right there. That's what it looks like when it comes through on the email.
Oh.
So the next part is...
Oh, hold on. Actually, sorry. Michelle just said, is there a way to send an email directly and have it automatically create a task? So it did, from the looks of it. It created a, well, under request here. I don't think we were able to find a way to have it other, but if you go to all, it still should show there, correct?
It does. It creates the task to say that
Right.
We're looking for that from the client. So that's my reminder on Friday that I sent that email to the client. And then hopefully by Friday I've received the response so I can actually finish my work.
Okay, now she says, Michelle says incoming. I'm not sure what that means. So what would happen? Let's see what happens if we check the email and respond back to it.
So we want to respond.
I think that's what she means. Then does that create another task when they respond?
Oh, fun. I'm getting an error. Now, I don't know if I'm getting an error because I'm signed in as ourselves, as the accountant. That could be why it might not be happy with me doing that.
Hold on, here we go. Okay, so sign in there to a brand new one under the QBS one. Yes, because right now we're signed in under our own one under work. So therefore we're not able to, and for those joining, we have recorded since the beginning. You will receive a full recording. No worries. But so what's happened is you've got one and we're signed in under us. And if we want to go in and sign in under the client, you've got to either toggle back and forth, or what I found is just either open one into a different browser.
Sorry guys, I'm just trying to log in with my own now.
Yeah, so if you've got one open under incognito and one open under the regular Chrome, you can easily just switch back and forth between the tabs versus having to actually change back and forth between the companies when you're doing these tasks. It makes it a lot easier. So I did a lot of playing with it last week. Okay, so now if we go in here and then we go back. So if we were to get the email, hold on, let's go back to the email. Oops. We don't want to print it. Okay, so actually, sorry, if we go back and grab this tab. So sorry, wait.
The original.
No, hold on. Copy this. Copy and paste that. And then that will take us, and if we go over to this one, and now paste it. Oh, actually, we're not in QBOA. Hold on, we're not in the training yet. CBS training. There. And that should do it. And it should probably be under the My Accountant as well too then.
So
there we go.
There's the other half of it. You can see I kind of set one up the other day for myself. So it says what we need. I can add a document here. I'm going to grab something just as a...
Just grab bookkeeping knowledge assessment. You don't have to open it. Type a response.
Short and sweet. We're going to post. And then we'll have a look over here and see what has happened.
So for those just joining, we're actually trying to create a request from a client.
So this has actually changed. This was a to-do. It has changed to be in progress. And now that I click on it, there's the document that I can now download. So my reminder has now changed to be in progress, and I can now complete my to-do task. And I can do that as simple as downloading this, doing whatever I need to do, and then I grab the in process here, and it's now done. And if I refresh this, that will take it right off my list. A little bit more complicated when you're on one computer trying to send it to yourself than it would be to send it to your clients. But it's a very nice feature, a really easy way to grab something to remind a client what you need directly for sure. So the next part of that up here is to create a new project. Now, we've played around a little bit with this. And we're going to show you a couple of different ways you can do this, and then we'll let you kind of decide what your preferred method is. So in this case, I'm going to create a payroll reminder. So we're going to do a payroll reminder. We're going to select our CVS client here. The due date is going to be Sunday after the pay period ends. I'm going to assign it to myself, and it's a to-do. Now, there's a couple of things you can do next. Now, if you have different...
sorry, Michelle just said, did the task go away completely or does it still show but it's completed? It actually, there is a place that you can pull out. We'll show that when we're done this, Michelle. Definitely, there's a completed list that you can pull from. It's just in the other screen. So we'll show you that once we're done with this.
So in the meantime, I can put a couple of details here. So my steps could be to email client in order to get their hours.
So I'm just going to grab this because there's a few questions came in all at once.
And then my second task could be, I'm just thinking payroll, could be then to complete payroll, just to keep it simple. There's a couple here.
Okay, so just while you're doing that, then Dominique asks, are there management reports which you can run per client for task status and dates? It would just simply be that we've been able to find anyway is just this main screen, which we'll go back to again, just sort by your client, and then you can just see dates out of you or in the list. Those are the only ones we've been able to find. And then starting the Michelle asked, can you use this for desktop customers also? You can, as long as they're in your QBO client list. So for example, I bill everybody out of my QBO. So my clients are in my QBO. My tax clients are in my QBO. So absolutely, you could use this for any of those tasks.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Great. So we've created the 2 steps. And the other way that you can do this is to actually do it as add a task. So let's go through first. This is the way that Tanya and I have decided that that we prefer. So what I would do then is perhaps at this point I would change this to say that I emailed the client.
Wait, not quite yet. No, do for the first step of it about recurring.
Oh, yes. Okay. So the one problem that QBOA, the practice management, is missing is that there's no recurring. It says here, can it repeat? And then it has a nice little message saying that that's something they're working on, but they don't have it yet. So what is the easiest way for us to make this recurring? And what we need to do first is save it.
Okay. So yeah, you want to save it right when it's fresh. What I prefer to do is actually before it's saved, is up at the top, you'll see some of these have Sundays weekly. So I like to automatically have that in there. So let's say this is Fridays bi-weekly. Right up here, that way you can see it right up there. So if you save this, create it first and then save it. So now when we go in to do this, you're going to go in, before you do anything on the task, hit duplicate, change your next date. Now this is just temporarily because they are working on it. We've heard it'll be for the next release that you can put recurring. So this is just for the next one. So let's say it was Mondays recurring, not Fridays recurring. So we'll do Mondays recurring. As soon as you do that and save, you automatically have one created for 2 weeks away. And now you can go back and then deal with this one. So hold on, there's a quick question here. How do you track the wrap-up tasks such as save a time attachment to document management system, enter into QBO, archive to client folder, etc.? Okay, we'll get into a little bit further where I think you're going with that, just in a little bit.
So as Tony said, the first step that we do is duplicate. And in fact, we have included that as a step. So you want to duplicate this so that you remember to do that before you start actually working on this task. So once we've duplicated it, there's 2 ways. You can either delete the line altogether, or you can type in done beside it. It just depends on whether or not you have someone working on it that you want a record of the steps they've taken. Do you want to know where people are at in the process? Or are you controlling that process yourself and you don't really need that reminder? So in this case, if I've emailed the client for hours done, I can now change this to be in progress and save it. Now I'm going to wait for the client to reply to me. Once they've replied to me, I can go back in here. I can complete the payroll. Again, I can type in that it's done. And now my progress is completely finished.
And then save. Save and close at the bottom. And then
Okay.
it goes away.
And then it goes away. So the question before was, where do they go? So there is another screen to show all of them.
No, it's in the tab, the other list, the other view.
It's this one, yes.
Up at the top, show completed items.
There it is. So this one's going to show the completed, again, go by due date. Now they come up to the top. So these are the ones that are done. So if you're looking for tasks that you've completed in the past, this is where you're going to look to. If you don't want to show those ones, there we are. So now our most recent task is at the very top. So if we hop back over here. Now, so the second way to do this is we want to create a project, and we're going to call this one Quarterly HST. We're going to select our client, and we're going to start this task. What's mad at me?
Today, let's put it in the today list, or yesterday.
I don't know what is today.
That's
Okay.
today.
So we'll call it today. For me to do, and now instead of details in here, you can add additional tasks. And we'll tell you in a second why we don't prefer this method, but it does give you the option to contact client for all submissions. And the due date on that one, we're going to say, perhaps we would have contacted them a few days before, assigned to me to do. We're going to add another task that says reconcile for HST, so that we bring all of our reconciles up to date. You can tell it's not my keyboard because I keep hitting extra keys. So we're going to do that by the 10th to do.
Now you'll notice that there's dates blocked out. The reason being is because your task dates must be before the total project due date. So if you're breaking it down into multiple tasks, and your project itself, let's say, is due next week, and you want to do a task a day, your project date will have to be next week, and then your due date for the tasks in order. So that's why they're blocked off, just in case you were wondering that.
So in this case, because we made the quarterly HST today, I could only go back in the past. So these are showing right now as overdue. Now, the reason why we don't completely love this is you can see the tasks as well as the quarterly HST have all been added here in our list. And what we find is that adds a lot to view. In some cases, for example, when I do my monthly liabilities, every single project, which would be monthly liabilities, would then have 4 tasks underneath that, adding 5 separate items to my list. If I have 10 clients doing monthly liabilities, I'm now adding 50 tasks to my list for that one day where I do all of our client liabilities. So you can see how you might not want to have them broken out that way.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming. On top of the fact that when you duplicate, you need to duplicate each task and the project.
So again, so yes, as Tanya said, when I want to duplicate this now, I've duplicated that, but I have to change the date here to go forward to, let's just say, July 12th now. This one will go forward to July 7th. And this one will have to go forward to July 10th and then save, which you can see if you had 4 or 5 tasks under there, it would add a lot more work to your duplication. It might be a little bit different when it's recurring, depending on whether or not you want to see, again, 5 different tasks for each thing. But for the duplication process, it takes a little bit more. Here's an example of my run payroll liabilities one where you can see I have all the steps in here. And I can just run through them. Once they're done, I would duplicate first, but I can just click it to done and hit save and we're finished. So it makes it a lot simpler.
Yeah, because the whole purpose was, again, how can we get rid of, so we use Asana right now. So how can we get rid of having to sign into that extra piece of software and use what is currently available? And again, there's, better ones coming out on it. They're taking feedback and hopefully making a lot more changes to make this a lot more versatile without the workaround. But in the meantime, I wanted to be able to find the workarounds that would work and not necessarily take me the same amount of time as going back and forth, which is, again, if we're working in CBS training, here, I want to keep my list up. It's in work. I'm signed into cloud bookkeeping services. This is exactly why we keep this one signed into the client. So if we're done with this one and we move on to another client, here we can change the client to, to whatever. And back here, I'm still in the task list. So that was what I found was easier to do, that when I do my tasks daily, just have the two. And then again, this other one, I'm just going incognito, or you can open up Firefox or like a different browser or an incognito, and then you can work fine being able to use it this way. Otherwise, I have to leave CBS training, go into my, or leave here, go into CBS training, do my tasks, come back, mark them off, grab the next task, go forward, do them, and so on. So just by simply using that incognito or separate browser, it reduces a lot of that. And then again, we found just duplicating with the, having the monthly, biweekly, so that way, when you move it to, and then having, all the tasks laid out for this, and then just again, put done or find something, some way, beside it to be able to, again, do this that way. Again, there's less work, but you're still able to achieve the same end results.
So that overall covers all the different aspects and all the workarounds that we've found so far for this practice management. Tanya, you want to address the last question we got, because we didn't quite address it yet.
Right. So, okay. So this was, how do you track the wrap-up tasks, such as save attachment to document management system, enter into QBO, archive to client folder, etc. So that would be going back to when we received the document, which would be, still here under completed. So I wonder we can make this, change the status from done back to in progress, close, and then that way they're back on our QBOA back here. Okay, so here, then we would just grab this, download it, now because we use HubDoc, or even if we wanted it in QBO, let's say we pop over, we've got it down here, it's in our downloaded folder, then we're just going to pop over to QBO, into our CBS training, and either add it through HubDoc, add it as an attachment in here, in the actual expense, create the expense or whatnot. If we wanted this broken down on those steps, then at that point we would have more, maybe more steps in this task, but I would just go ahead, deal with it right away, and because we use HubDoc, I would actually throw it through HubDoc and then attach it in there. Or as I say, if it's just, something that, I'm not using HubDoc on that client or whatnot, just attach it to straight by the attachment here.
You can see it's right in there.
Yeah, pull it right into here and save it at that point, because now it's archived to the client. Does that answer the question, Dominique? I think, and then just go back and then click that off as done. Okay, let me just take a quick peek through, see if we missed anything. Yeah, no, I think that's it. Every time you take the mouse, it takes it away from me. So sorry. We're both using one computer with dual screens and dual keyboards.
We're getting used to sharing. We're not too good at it.
Where is the attachment stored in the client reply? Let's pop back there. So right here is the client reply. And it's just right here. It's stored here and then download. So it'll always stay there, but we just download.
Even once you click done, it will remain in there. So if we check that back off again and we close it off, again, it will disappear from this screen here. But if we go into our list screen,
it'll always remain as an attachment as long as that is saved through here. And I don't know at what point in history, QBO, that would actually be a good question for them as to what point they plan on.
So here is the...
On archiving, I'm assuming the 7 years. Okay, so Michelle, if you have recurring tasks, is there a template instead of having to create the same task across customers? Well, right now, no, that's something that's been requested. However, again, the workaround queen has found a workaround. If I can grab the mouse, please. So what we would do is when you go in, because we've got the same follow-up. So basically now what we do is, again, we have to take our list when we set our clients up initially.
I have the Excel document as well. It's at the bottom.
Oh, do you? Okay, great. So you can open that in just a second. So if I were to come in here and let's say again, the same payroll reminder, it's the same thing. When I duplicate this, you just simply change the company. So we'll change it to that one. And then I would save it. Change the due date, save it. So there is an easy workaround, again, so that you don't have to. I'm just going to cancel that out because that's a real client.
Doesn't like it. Try changing it back to CBS so that it's happy.
Okay, so if I start typing CBS training, okay, so save it back to CBS. But yeah, so that would be our workaround that we're actually doing as we set these up. So what we're doing is so that we don't have to do it all at once is the tasks in Asana as they come due. We're then, because of course we have so much that we're juggling right now as it is. So as they come due, we're then taking it, copying it into here, and then taking it out of Asana. So, you know, it's within about a month, we will then only have a few of the quarterly items and whatnot to be able to bring in here. Otherwise, I mean, with all of our clients, it's going to take us a full day to set up. But that's exactly what we would do is just duplicate, change it to client, and use that one as a template. So let's see here. Dominique, do you match these tasks to a master client list in Excel, Asana, Trello, Client Track? I would not, because you're duplicating work, Dominique. I would only do this for the initial setup. So I do have, I guess that's what Liam is saying, that she's got set up down here.
This is kind of our main task that we use currently in Asana. So in Asana, we have every client as a separate project, and under those clients, we would set up these tasks depending on what the client needs. So do they need quarterly HST or are they monthly HST? Do they have weekly or bi-weekly payroll? Do we match their HubDoc and bank feeds ourselves, or do they do that? So this is our kind of general master list as to what kind of tasks we use. And then the combination of what we would set up for each client varies. So as Tanya said, to make it easier on ourselves, instead of us spending the time and the hours to go in and move all of our clients from Asana in one fell swoop, we're going to do it that as a task comes up due on one of our lists, we will recreate that task in our QBOA so that we're slowly moving them over. And it also allows us for a little while to double check things and make sure that we're creating the new habits we need to use the practice management in QBO over using Asana, and that nothing falls through the cracks.
Okay, and there's more. So Michelle says, when would you use a project versus a task? Ourselves here, we have chosen to not use tasks for the reason that, like that Leanne said. So a project, how it's designed is a project, and this is exactly how it is in Asana. So Asana, you can have a larger project with several steps to each project. So you could set it up that way. We have chosen not to, and to instead put the tasks as a step down here. The reason being is, again, we don't want this cluttered. we have so much to do that it can become very overwhelming.
Just to give you an example of what our Asana clients currently look like, I'll pull someone up here.
Actually, I'm already in Asana back on this one.
Oh, I closed everything.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay.
So really quick, I'll pull up the HST because I know there's a couple underneath it. Here's the monthly. Oh no, of course our one monthly one does not have a couple underneath it. Here's a quarterly. Okay, I'm not winning today. I need to find a client that has the steps. Okay, let's do this one. So you can see our monthly payroll liabilities has notes and 2 steps. In Asana, that's not so bad because I'm only looking at one task or one project in the list.
That's not even a project.
No, that's a task
So,
with
yeah.
steps underneath it.
Asana, each client I have set up as a project. Here's a task and there's subtasks. So basically what we're doing back in QBOA is setting everything up under the one main header as a project. And again, our tasks and subtasks we're calling steps would be in here. And again, the reason being is because otherwise each task and each project will create a new reminder, which we found when we did that on the one client was extremely overwhelming. I mean, if just to show you here, I just want to, we go into all clients, everyone, all, and include from QuickBooks. This is a lot. This is a lot. And you just sit there and think, oh my gosh, that's a lot to do. So imagine if your today's task list was this long and you're still pulling down and having 50 transactions. It's a little overwhelming. So again, if we know, we just keep track of it with the progress. That's what we decided to do with that. So we'll just go back to this.
And I think the other important thing here is that you can't just create a task. You have to start with a project and then use tasks underneath that project. There's no way to just create the task part of it. Although they show up in the same place, you have to always start through this screen, create a project, and then if you want to add tasks underneath that, you can.
Yeah, so again, for those purposes, just because it's overwhelming, and then again, when you duplicate, you have to change the date in 3 spots. We just thought that wasn't a very viable workaround for what we wanted to use this for, to completely replace Asana. So this is kind of why we found this workaround, that again, you know, just keep it all under project with the list, because again, as they say, you've got lots of room. So if we've got 20 different steps, so for my year end, for example, is about, you know, 20 different steps of things I'm doing for a corporate year end, I would just have each one of them listed here. And then again, some way to decipher whether it means, you know, I put the word done at the beginning, whether it means I put an X, or, you know, some way to decipher, oops, that I'm done, and then just change this to in progress until I'm actually finished. So that is how we found was easier, and for those reasons. Dominique says, can you add milestones and dependencies? At this point, no. This is what you've seen is pretty much it. Those are great, great feedback items. I do know, as I say, that they are planning on making this, you know, better. This was just a quick, here you go, you've got something. This is, you know, it's when they first came out with this, the duplicate task wasn't even there. So it's the other launch. I'm not sure when it's scheduled for the launch of phase 2, but I do know that there is a lot more flexibility coming with this, for sure. Michelle, does it integrate with any calendars? Not at this point. Definitely, definitely good feedback to again give, because right now they're really open to the feedback, and they really want to try to have us using this. So are going to do quite a bit. So it's just my daily workflow is I'm just going to come in here and take a look. Again, if I have it set up in Asana, it wasn't in my calendar, because I found when I was putting everything as tasks in the calendar, I was starting to ignore the bings and whatnot. So it was overwhelming. So my tasks, I specifically for a reason don't want them to integrate in with the calendar. So again, I'm not too sure if that's something that'll be coming, but definitely suggest it. But otherwise, its habit is first thing I do, I log in and I immediately go to here and I see what's due for today. And that's it. So Dominic says, oh, I understand. Would you use the QBOA Practice Management as a high-level task manager and client document requests only? Then where do you track your step-by-step client checklist and your notes with all the client quirks? So, yes, we use this for follow-ups, not necessarily workflow. So there's certain tasks that we have in there. If I'm dealing with certain items that are a little more complex in client notes, I actually use 17 hats for that. Which we do have. So for example, taxes, when we do people's taxes, or when we have like different reminders that go to clients. So we have an annual bookkeeping workflow process that we put into play that has a lot of automatic reminders. We actually use 17 hats for that. These are just strictly one-off tasks that we need to remember to do that have nothing to do with any of that. So I don't know if that actually answered your question. And we actually use 17 hats. We put our client notes in 17 hats. There's any email communications with our clients, we use 17 hats for that. You know, down the road, this very well may expand and have further capabilities, absolutely, in which case I would definitely look at using this, because I do like to keep it simple. And if you don't need to use, you know, 20 different apps a day, then why would you? It becomes, again, overwhelming in itself. And Dominique says, most of my clients arrive as rescue bookkeeping. Would you use global all periods tasks? All periods tasks. See, like I'm not exactly certain what you're asking there, Dominique. Like we would set up the regular ones, again, the things that we need to do. So I would use this for, again, a reminder that we need to do quarterly HST, a reminder that we need to, you know, process the payroll, a reminder that we need to go in twice a week to process their HubDoc and their QBO bank fees. So this is basically, I guess, this is our reminders. When they're coming in as rescue bookkeeping, I don't think I would set them anything up in here until you're actually caught up and know what your flows are going to be. And then again, I would use this for my reminders, automatic reminders. So like on our HST workflow, we actually do have different things on our HST workflow that we have set up in 17 hats. And that would be, you know, a reminder email goes out to the clients automatically, you know, the end of, what is it, just near the end of the quarter, and then about 7 days into the quarter, just a reminder that make sure you have everything entered, that we have all of your receipts. So again, that's not in here. These are only tasks that require us to actually action. Maybe that would be the best word. A task that requires us to action. Again, something that's recurring, that we have to action on it. And we have used 17 hats to set up as much automation for those actions as possible. So unless it's us actually filing the HST or us actually processing their payroll or processing their liabilities. I mean, let's take a look at mine and you'll see my actual one. So if we go to,
no, it's under cloud.
It's under cloud. So to get my own firm on here, I had to set up another one called tasks because it doesn't recognize your own QBOA. So here are my actual tasks. So I do a T-Sheets approval report Sundays. I did it last night. I wanted to save this overdue so that you could see. Process payroll Mondays biweekly. Leanne's got to do that today, and I think she did it, but she didn't actually tick it off because I think, oh yeah, it's assigned to you. But yeah, so I don't think she did that unless she set up her own task.
It's still doubled in my Asana.
Okay, that's why. Okay.
We're still learning new processes here.
So on the 15th of the month, credit card payments, I actually make sure that that they process through for two of the clients. So task, next due date. I've got, you know, a weekly check. I've got a client who gave me weekly checks to catch up on their backs. It's a reminder to deposit, a reminder to do my HubDocs, a reminder to do my bank feeds, a reminder to do my billing at the end of the month, because yes, I still have like 3 or 4 clients that are still on the old, their grandfather, that are still under the old hourly billing because I don't do too much. Here's the payroll liabilities, our quarterly WSIB, monthly mileage log, which my daughter does that, a monthly cleanup, undetermined items. Oh, I guess those are all pre-tasks of the cleanup. So yeah, those are all tasks of a monthly cleanup. But so these are the types of things that we would actually set up on Real People's, and then of course my HST. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yes, perfect. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. This is a nice feature. So QBO Practice Management saves it into their Box.com setup. I don't believe they use Box.com anymore. I think that was only under the documents, and here it's now saved on their own server. I'm not sure about that one though. And so you can create an ABC corporate template task. You absolutely can, Dominique. Yes. So if yeah, set up a dummy client, and then that way all you have to do is just go in and duplicate it. So that's actually, you know, really good to do that as a template. Set that up, and then all you're doing is duplicating and changing the client's name. So that's perfect. Are you planning to keep Asana or replace it with QBO Practice Management? I will be getting rid of Asana altogether, and I will be doing everything in QBO Practice Management myself. Leanne is pretty sure she may keep Asana for different tasks because, again, with her background being social media, she takes care of all that side of things. So what she is thinking is she's going to keep Asana and keep those tasks separate. Her marketing, networking, groups, and social media tasks to keep that completely separate, because she essentially has two jobs here. She's you know, the book, well, more than two jobs, you know, bookkeeper, you know, so she's actually bookkeeping on clients. She, you know, helps with the running of the operations, the training of the new employee, but then she's got it completely separate with the marketing, the networking. I don't like networking. I'm not a face-to-face person out in public. So she does the Chamber of Commerce events and whatnot. And then, like I say, she's got our local social media and everything going. So she's going to keep Asana for those tasks only. Everybody else internally is going to be stopping using Asana and coming over here because it meets our needs. So again, we don't need to be logging into two of them. And then this way, it again is a clear separation for Leanne as well, which will make things easier. And will you cover your Excel tasks in the boot camp? Oh, you get it all, Dominique. Is there a reminder function in QBO Practice Management? No, not that I have found. That's definitely good for us to go ahead and request to them. But this is why I make it a habit that the first thing I do, I log in and I look at work and I see what's due, because basically that's the reminder system. It's what's here. That's the date.
In that first column, we're creating new habits here in the office as well. It's only been out for a short while. We're only just starting to work with it. We're trying to find all the little quirks in it. And one of the things that I would suggest is, if you're already using a task management system, add a reminder in it for the next little while to go in and check your QBOA practice management. The other place you could put your reminder for the next little while is at the beginning of every single workday on your calendar. Mark off a half an hour to check your QBOA accountant, so that you start to create that habit. It only takes about a month for you to cement those habits, and then it will be very natural for you to check your practice management on a daily basis.
Sorry, the phone's just ringing here. We thought we turned the ringer off. But yeah, it's just habit forming. And then, like I say, there's the reminders. Okay, so most clients need multiple reminders. Okay, well, for your clients' reminders, got it. That I default down to 17 hats for, most definitely. So the only time I would use this, you know, send a request through the QBO, the QBOA Practice Management, is if I'm working away on something and I see something I need, and I specifically would go ahead and request that through the client. Like, oh, you know, I'm reconciling and I see there's, you know, some receipts that they had forgotten, and I'm specifically asking for them. Otherwise, we use 17 hats for, I guess Leanne's bringing this up to give you a quick show of our workflows, our workflow templates that we have. And so there's
that typo. So you can see we've got a workflow right in 17 hats that I use for all of our clients. So when I run their payroll deductions, when I add this at the beginning of the year, it adds 12 emails that all I need to do is is to activate. So the email is already done. It's already drafted up. Everything's done. When I'm in the client, there's a little button that says review. I review it and I hit send. I change the amount that they owe. Here's my
and why would you send that? Sorry. You're in your brain.
So my brain, not in.
That's right. So the payroll liabilities is of course, when we run it, we would then turn around and send to the client.
Exactly.
Here
right.
it is.
So if I run the payroll liabilities in here and I clicked done, then I'm going to go over to 17 Hats and send the email. My T4 emails are automatic reminders. These are going to activate automatically towards the end, the beginning of the year. These HST reminders send email Q1 filing, Q2 filing. Again, those emails are going to go out automatically. I don't have to do anything for them.
And so the client is, we do have, again, a couple of them that that they're sent off, you know, as you can see, Q4 filing, and then 12 days later, we send another one so that they're like 2 weeks roughly, so that they're reminded.
And then here's the ones that I'm going to actually send the email. So these are our quarterly HST. So this is after I run their HST, after QuickBooks has told me to run their HST, I will come into 17 Hats and plug that into my email. Year-end reminders go out automatically. WSIB, I activate these ones. So certain things are me activating them. Other things are going to be automatic in this workflow. But that's how the two systems work together. I do a task, and then I can quickly pop my number in and send it off to the client.
Okay. Dominique, do you plan to track your tax-only clients in QBOPM as well? No. And the reason being is because there's no set tasks that I need to do. So my tax-only clients, again, we have a tax workflow in 17 Hats that we use for that. So again, I'm using the QBOA Practice Management only for things to remind me to do on a recurring basis. So my tax clients, their workflow doesn't start until they actually drop off. So when they drop off, that's when we start their workflow. So again, there's one in 17 Hats, a template we would just assign to them and go through it. And again, I'm using this one for something that I can schedule so that I know this is the date that I need to follow up. You could still yourselves, like if you didn't want to, you could still go in, but you know, have a tax one set up and then go in here and remind you to do it. But we have our tax process has so many different working parts between different people, between 3 different people in the office, that it would be way too complex, which is why 17 Hats workflow works well for us. So if you're just yourself, then absolutely you can put yourself a reminder, automatically add it, and then, you know, put that reminder out 2 days or something like that. So you could still work with that just depending on your internal flow. Dominique, yes, love 17 Hats. It's awesome. Yes, love keeping it simple. Of course. So if someone comes to 7 years bookkeeping and tax, and I run the 7 years as if it is one period, I can add rescue to 17 Hats and use current period separately. Yes, you could definitely do that with 17 Hats. Your big issue is chasing the million docs and matching them to the checklist. Absolutely. What we do with that, we actually just have a report that we pull. And I don't know. Yeah, it's called an undetermined report, and we basically just send it to them, and this is anything that was not on the bank statement. But again, if you're dealing with rescue, that's definitely quite a bit more. Thank you. Showing me how you use tasks really helps. Yes, thank you. I can add that to my daily schedule. Awesome. Yes, thank you. 17 Hats is wonderful. I'm really looking forward to learn how to make the workflow work well. I plan on using 17 Hats for the workflow. I can't say enough about 17 Hats. It's absolutely awesome. And I mean, again, one day, who knows, this task here in QBOA may definitely evolve to be as in depth with that. But right now, again, they work very, very well together. Okay, so I think that was everything. Michelle's been very quiet, just taking this all in. Was there any questions you had left? I mean, again, there wasn't really a whole lot in here, but it was just, you know, kind of to show the workarounds we found to make it easy to deal with the recurring, easy to, again, do this instead of having to add in the task, just kind of the shortcuts we found that will still get us to the end. Okay, great session. Thank you. Well, you're very, very welcome. Okay, well, there's no more questions. I guess we will call it a day. The recording will be sent out to you by tomorrow. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out after. And thank you very, very much for attending, especially with the last minute scheduling change. We definitely appreciate that and appreciate all of your great questions. That was great because those were, some things that we had not anticipated or thought about. So it was great to be able to go through and kind of show those extras.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for being patient with Tanya and I on our first joint webinar as we worked out all the kinks. So we really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.